All right. I'm live. All right. I think we're going. I think we're going. Um, I noticed my last one was a little bit high on my microphone. Yeah, I see where I'm getting up there in the decibels. Let's turn that down just a little bit. Again, maybe if I had some live chat to be helpful, but that's all right. We will continue on. We will continue on. So come on there too. So, alrighty. Well, let's kick this off. Well, I always like to kick some things off here with something kind of hilariously funny. And I exited out of the big one. Let's go back to that. So, I've been an auto mechanic pretty well. I went to school to be an automotive technician, and so I've been in and out of the automotive industry for since I was about 16-ish. So I am working on cars again. I have been for a while. Just something that comes natural to me, but I think everybody gets a kick out of something like this. I mean, I don't know if that's an AI line or what's going on, but yeah, if you know, you know, been around, you hit some potholes, and oh, we hit one coming off the interstate, and it was right where we're right on, we're over the white line, but it was right next to the white line. There was this huge pothole. We hit that thing doing 55, 60 miles an hour, and just bam! It's like, oh Lord. We got to where we were going about 10 miles down the road, kept an eye on everybody's got the tire pressure monitor systems, so it tells you how much air pressure you have. We never seen it go down or anything, so it's all right. I got out a look at a big, huge goose egg coming out of the sidewall. It's like, oh, well, that's great. There's a tire. We did contact the Iowa DOT, said something about it, and this was on a Sunday. We sent the email out Sunday night. By Tuesday, it was fixed. It was fantabulous. They did a great job. I mean, my main concern was, I used to ride bikes. Used to have a Harley, and God, you hit potholes on a bike. Whew, some of those swallow you right up. That one would have. That one was bad enough. It probably would have caused a really, really bad accident. So, but you know, we get it. And that was what we did. I mean, that was the face I made pretty much if I could have went back. But uh, it always seems it's always kind of funny that we've got all these potholes everywhere, but yet we have money for, especially in the Cedar Rapids area, we got money to put in roundabout after roundabout after roundabout, but we still have roads here in this town that I don't think have been, I mean, they've been patched here and there, but I think they're the original paved roads. I'm not shit. I mean, they are bad, but we don't fix any of those. We've got an area here that, um, I swear every 3 years they tear it up and redo it. Um, the main drag, the First Avenue through Cedar Rapids, they've redone that. In my lifetime, oh God, probably a dozen times, which is about, you know, 8 times too many. It just keeps costing taxpayers money, and then what they're doing there, they just keep encroaching on businesses, pushing back their property lines more or less to to gain more access to everything. But it's ridiculous. I would love to see some potholes get fixed. I see in the city of Marion where I was at, and I've seen them do it times, and not just Marion, but other towns do it too. They send out the crew with some asphalt in the back of a truck, and put a little asphalt down, tamper it down a little bit. Oh, that's good to go. 2 weeks later, or whenever we get a nice big huge rainstorm, or we get any snow, it's gone. it just keeps them busy when they ain't got nothing to do. So I should have been a city worker. I mean, some of them do a lot of work. Some of them do absolutely nothing. So, well, today I kind of want to talk about this whole redistricting thing in Texas. We talked about it before, but um, the I mean, we'll start off with the Senate did the Texas Senate did officially pass the new congressional map. So that's a start in the right direction. The House still, they still have people abroad. Uh, and actually, it says here, 9 of the Democrats walked out before the vote. Well, so they're this is gerrymandering, uh, and it's not nothing new. This has been going on for a long time, and they just want, when it fits the left's narrative, yeah, they'll they'll do redistricting every 2 years if they had, if I mean, if they could. I mean, sometimes it doesn't work out for them that way, but I mean, but it's gotten to the point where they're gerrymandered themselves out of it. They can't gain any more. But uh, they would they would do it every 2 years if necessary. If it meant more votes for them, more, not more votes, but more, just kind of shutting the GOP out of it, more or less. Uh, and that's not right. And the whole gerrymandering thing, both sides, it's ridiculous, but these lines need to be drawn, and these lines are going to change. They what they're redistricting right now, I can guarantee you by 2030, it's going to be totally different. The population shifts are immense. Uh, and since we had the 2020 census, there's been a lot of mass exodus out of the places of California and uh, Illinois and New York. People have been fleeing these liberal hellholes since COVID. So the census doesn't really count that. Plus, the census was illegal according to the Constitution, but it was unfortunately backed up by the Supreme Court justices at the time. Uh, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that uh, the Roberts just hates Trump. But uh, they said, yeah, you can go ahead and count everybody that's, if they're inside the borders of the United States of America, you count them on the census. But it actually says, we count the citizens. So, and like I said last time, the best way I think to do a census is to go use the Social Security Administration. That's going to get you a hell of a lot closer than uh, me filling out a form. Uh, because you can still lie on these forms. You're not supposed to lie. I don't recommend lying, but I've had my stories about the whole census thing, and it's kind of comical, but it makes sense. And but since we've had this huge seismic shift in people exiting blue states, and we also have a great deportation system going right now. Uh, I'm really curious. I haven't seen any numbers or heard anybody talk about the whole. Uh, when Trump asked everybody asked all the illegals, "Hey, we'll give you $1,000 and a free plane ride home. Just turn yourself in if you're here illegally." I don't know how many people are doing that. How many people have just chosen to uh, de I can't think of the fucking word I want to say right now, but self-deported I think I worked too much today. Um, but yeah, how many of them have all self-deported? How many of them have taken that deal? How many of them haven't? But there we go back to, if we're not counting illegals, you're going to see a huge shift in the census. So, and like I said last time, the Constitution just asks you that we do this, and the rules set up afterwards that we do this every 10 years, at least every 10 years. That's the key there. They want it every 10 years. But if you there's nothing in the rule books that says that we can't do it every 5 years if we wanted to. I mean, it is the president's duty. We're falling onto some of his duties as president, and that's to account for everybody in the United States. If he wants to do another census, that's fine. We can do censuses every 4 years for that matter. Um, but I think if we get a lot of this immigration under control, we're going to see a lot less of that. I mean, we already accept at least 1 million people legally, legally through the system, at least 1 million people a year. So, but we have a lot of people that die. We have new births. You know, it relatively, we see a little bit of growth in our population, but not the spikes that we see when we see in a 4 year span 10 million plus people cross our border. That's not immigration. You have allowed an invasion, and that's the way Trump's gonna treat it. That's the way I want to treat it. It was a fucking invasion. I mean, I don't know how many countless pictures I've seen of hundreds of military age Chinese people. If you don't just get out of, they don't let you out of China to just because. You still have processes to get out of China. They do have the social credit score. But these are military age men that are coming in. Are they part of the Shicon military? The whatever they fucking call themselves. But anyway, we do that. You're not going to see the census is going to matter, but the redistricting stuff can kind of slow down a little bit. But there is points to this. I mean, you've got a lot of blue states that have little to no representation from the GOP or even an independent. I wouldn't consider Vermont. Vermont has Bernie Sanders that he says is independent, but he's a Democrat socialist. He's never been independent. He's never really even been a Democrat. He votes with the Democrats, but he's a socialist. Milk's good for people. I do prefer the raw milk, but anyway, we're pointing out this stuff out that the Democrat this Julian Epstein, um, he's talking. He says Democrats don't have clean hands here. You have to look at states like Massachusetts, New Jersey, Illinois, California. The Democrats have effectively gerrymandered Republicans out of existence. So let's look at that's a little bit. I was going to go to Breitbart, but I found my other thing here. Um, Blow this up a little bit. So in Massachusetts, 36% of the state is Republican, but yet they have 0 seats in the House and Senate. Connecticut, 42% of them are Republican, 0 seats. Maryland? No. Yeah. Anyway, New Mexico, the list goes on. New Hampshire, 48% of New Hampshire is Republican, but yet they get 0 seats. You know, Delaware, 42%. I mean, New Mexico, 46, 0. You get down in some of these other ones where, where was a good one? It was New Jersey. New Jersey, which really went Republican, yeah, they still only have 3 seats, 25%. So you have close to 50% of your population is we'll just split it down the middle, 50-50. You have 50% of the country, or 50% of that state is in New Jersey is Republican, 50% is Democrat. So they have 12 seats that they send to Congress. But so you would think if it was district right, then you should have 6 and 6. Should be even. It should be a wash. But we don't. Only 25% of their representation goes to Republicans, which make up about 50% of their voting bloc. But I mean, that's just one. I mean, the New Hampshire one is even higher. You are at closer to 50%, but they have zero representation. You know, yeah, why is it if we do the redistricting, it's a threat to democracy, but yet Democrats do it all the time, and it's still democracy itself, which goes into another thing that um, this is a big thing. Let's get back in there. I hate the fact that they keep saying that this is a democracy. Now, this goes back to Woodrow Wilson and his whole idea of that the Constitution is a flowing, ever living, breathing document, and the fuck it is. The fuck it is. Uh, no, it's not. And that's where we started getting away from the constitutional republic into democracy. Now, democracy is never mentioned once in the Constitution. I mean, because we're not. I mean, most people remember what was asked of Ben Franklin when they got done voting on it. Said, "What do we have, Ben Franklin?" Said, "We have a republic. If you can keep it, we have a constitutional republic. Democracy is more down the line, down to your city levels. That would be more of a democracy type voting and being, but our federal government is a republic. We are a republic. The whole idea, these numbers representing our votes for president, and that, which is a brilliant system that they came up with at the time. And I know the lefties want to get rid of it. I know there's some states that have already signed through the saying that they will do whatever the federal government says if they do get rid of the electoral college. But the electoral college is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing, because it doesn't allow major cities to decide who the president's going to be. I think I think we need to kind of take this back down a little bit more too into our state levels though too with electoral college, but that's a different subject. Uh, yeah, if we did not have the electoral college, California, Illinois, New York would pretty much decide, in Pennsylvania, Michigan, they would decide who the president would be. Uh, here in Iowa, we get 6 electoral votes. When I was a kid, we had 7, 6 representatives. I think we had 8 at one point in time. Uh, and it's slowly gone down. We've lost representation here in Iowa to California due to 100% illegal immigration and counting them on censuses. But yeah, we are not a democracy. Yeah, North Korea, that's more of a democracy. Not really. That's more of a dictatorship, family dictatorship. But democracy never worked. Going through the writings and the studies that our founding fathers did to write this great constitution, they decided that full-out democracy leads to totalitarianism, authoritarianism. So, uh, And that's why we have a republic. But anyway, we'll go back to that. We're like I said, they did pass it through that. Now, whether or not these asshats from the House come back or not, that's hard to say. Um, are they going to come back or are they not? Where was I with that? Um, Abbott has put out another quorum by Friday, special session number 2. When when the governor calls a special session, that does require you to show up and do your job. There's legislation to be done. Your job is to represent the people leaving the state to go to another state because you don't like you're throwing you're a fucking habitual 2-year-old. I always thought that just having pets, and especially dogs, some dogs, uh, sometimes it's like living like a perpetual 2-year-old all the time. Constantly getting into trouble, constantly up your ass, um, constantly whining, and that's Democrats. They constantly whining about every little. They don't get their way. They're the little kid in Walmart screaming, "Mommy, mommy, mommy! I want this toy! I want this toy! I want this toy!" Fuck off! Stop it! Stop it! Act your fucking age. Yeah, I don't know how to act my age. I just became this age right now. But really, grow up. You're an adult. Act like a fucking adult. Don't be fucking going out. Oh, you can't do this. This is not our way of doing things. Just because you don't like the way it goes. Now, if this was turned around, by God, I can guarantee this governor and this uh, AG, Ken Paxton, they have been so fucking patient. So fucking patient. If this was at all the other way around, where the Republicans left town when a special session was called to try to quell the votes, um, I, I can guarantee you they would have definitely had used the FBI, definitely have had them arrested and brought back to Texas. I 100% guarantee you that would happen. It would have happened by now. They're being patient. Yes, they've called for the arrest. If that happens, it happens. I do believe they've all broken the law. I don't think that they should, in good faith, they should not be representatives of anybody. They should not be in public office because they have abandoned their post. In my eyes, this is an abandon. It's kind of like your job. If a lot of jobs I've worked at, 3 days of no show, no call, you quit your job. So yeah, we have social media and you're out there parading around, but you're doing this because you don't want to do your job. I mean, you still have a voice. You can still fucking vote. You can still get up on that House floor probably and put out your grievances about this. See how bad this is for democracy when it's not a democracy. See how bad this is for people. I mean, definitely don't say what it is, and that's redistricting to better represent the votes and the people of Texas. That's not to say that they can't come back to this in 3 years from now, 4 years, 5, well, it will be 5 years, and redo these maps again. I don't have a problem doing it every 5 years. Like I said, if it were up to liberals, they would probably try to do this at least every 2 years. Guaranteed. But anyway, if they don't show up on Friday, it'll get passed. It's going to go through, um, more or less. I think at this point in time, yeah, they are going to be up for charges. And Speaking of charges, you got Beto O'Rourke, Beto O'Rourke, which you're Robert Francis O'Rourke. He is not Spanish. Just trying to. Anyway, um, he was helping fund through Act Blue and stuff some of these liberal ass motherfuckers that went up to Illinois and whatnot. And Ken Paxton went and got a restraining order, and this motherfucker, not even 24 hours later, is spewing his mouth. This was a couple of days ago, I do believe, but this is some of the shit. Yeah, the refs. So the refs left the arena. I don't know who the refs are in this situation. Uh, Obviously, I get the whole basketball thing. I get that. That's a good reference. I mean, one side, the other side. Okay, Dems left, Dems and conservatives, left, right. So now he's talking about the refs. So who's the refs? Are we the refs? Or is he thinking that the Supreme Court's the ref? Or the courts are the refs? But okay, so we're the crowd. It's the left versus the right, and there's no refs. And they're beating each other up. Which is really fucking ironic, considering the last 4 years of the weaponization, and it wasn't even the last 4 years, the last 8 years, the last 10 years of weaponization of our Department of Justice, the FBI. It's the whole judicial system in general has been weaponized. And it doesn't just go back to 2016, 2015. This goes back to, if I could point a finger at when everything took a serious change in our nation and when a lot of this bullshit has happened because of, is 1913 when we enacted the Federal Reserve. So, but yeah, what fucking rules did you agree to play by? Again, you weaponized, have been weaponized, and now you're especially going to get. And once we've got this great fucking internet thing that we can get on there, we can do our goddamn research on everything, but yet we're the fucking idiots now. Don't believe what you see. Don't believe all this research and everything else. Don't believe that we've always been the bullies. We've always had a strong arm in the game. Always. They realized they needed a strong arm once they lost the Civil War. Shortly after the Civil War, the Democrats got together and formed the Ku Klux Klan, and they became the strong arm of the South. Not just the South, but of the, yeah, the South. Uh, Democrats. Democrats. Uh, and after that, we've just been using mind control and whatnot to just using the media against us. The media has become has become a weapon for the Democrats. Before that, we had the Jim Crow laws, all Democrat backed. Uh, and Speaking of that, a good one I have not heard in a while was the whole Dixiecrat thing, where the South switched to from Democrat to Republican, and all these House. Nobody switched over, but anyway, get back to this motherfucker. And what rules did we agree to play by? Like I said, you just want to beat the fuck out of us, especially now when we have all this information. You're trying to tell us we. I can say the fuck, I can say fuck, I can say fuck, mommy. Look, I can say that bad word in front of all these people. Yay! At least when Trump swears, it sounds. I mean, okay, so maybe I just been blue collar my whole life and understand how these swear words work, but that's the way he sounds. It fits in. This, you're just trying to swear. And who cares about the fucking rules? Guess what? You never cared about the fucking rules. The only time you care about the fucking rules is when you're trying to fuck us over, trying to fuck the citizens over. Well, you don't even fuck care about those rules. I'm sorry. When the right decides to try to call you out on your fucking bullshit, then you bitch about fucking rules. Fuck your rules. I have my rules. You're right. What they saying about fuck their rules is called fuck the Constitution. Fuck the Declaration of Independence. We want a one-party system. We were going good and strong with this one-party system since since at least the LBJ had a little bit of a side quest, a little bit with Reagan, but we went slamming right back into this one-party system as soon as Bush got back in. And I tell you what, it didn't matter who was president. What George Bush was going to do the next 4 years was exactly what Bill Clinton did his 4 years. Bill Clinton carried on Bush's agenda, which was a liberal agenda, and those two were big, good buddies. If you have done any research into Bill Clinton and George H.W. Bush and know anything about Mena, Arkansas in the late 70s, you would know what I mean. So Bill's a good close buddy to all the Bushes. So Bush just did I didn't vote for him the first time. I'm glad he did win that, and we would have been worse off in retrospect. But uh, there was the difference a little bit there. Al Gore, he wasn't going to win. Even if he had Billy's backing, Billy was still backing George because those two were kind of like brothers in a way. So Bush was going to win no matter what. Uh, Gore's just he was out there in left field before most of the Democrats caught up. Ironically enough, but so it was a little too much. But then you get into the elections of when Obama and Romney, there were two peas in the pot. If we didn't have Obamacare, we were going to have Romney care, which was, excuse me, the exact same fucking thing. So, which has been a disaster. And if you know anything about anything, when you take away competition, you can raise your prices to whatever you want. So we went from having numerous insurance companies to only having a few now. I think three major ones, and it's really hard to get an upstart for, especially for medical insurance. But yeah, I mean, you're screwed. You took away the competition. That's why everybody's rates went sky high. That we went into a recession because of failures in the Clinton administration. I blame the 2009 2008 recession thing. I blame about 20% on George Bush, but the rest of it's all on Billy Clinton. But anyway, you've been you've been fighting against us forever, and now that we have somebody that wants to fucking fight for us, now you have a huge problem, and we're all a bunch of fucking idiots. Obviously, we are fucking morons. So, all right, well, kind of want to do one little thing about Iowa. Not a lot going on right now. The Iowa State Fair is going on. Uh, I'm not much of a fair person. I've never personally been to the Iowa State Fair. It's the biggest fair in the United States, which ironically, I think we might be kicking off some 250th anniversary stuff at the state fairgrounds because they do take in well over a million people during over the 10-day span. I think they were close to 1.3 last year. Probably push 1.4 this year. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. They keep adding more and more foods and stuff like that. It's a great place, I guess. I've been to the state fairgrounds. I went to a Metallica concert way back in the '90s there. Uh, that was great, but not other than that, not a lot going on in Iowa right now. Obviously, we've got our governor race next year and stuff like that. But we've had a couple of stings from reminiscence of the James O'Keefe Media Group. Of course, he started Project Veritas, uh, but they did some snooping at the University of Iowa, and then they also got Iowa State University too, where they've trying to circumvent the DEI policies, which we had in place last year before Trump. We put in this that the universities need to get rid of this fucking DEI crap. But they're trying to circumvent this, still trying to keep it going because I guess the Board of Regents, when they were making their rulings, they made too specific of language. So you can kind of, they created a gray area. Well, they're going back on that. They went back and they just had a meeting and, yeah, 3 different videos over the last 3 weeks. Policy moved on 7-1. And this is what, more or less, what it's saying is, yeah, you could still, we're going to allow the DEI topic to come up or controversial topics to come up if it's pertinent to the class. So, I don't know what specific classes, but if they do bring it up, it's not that they want to censor anybody. The censorship is unfucking American. Plain and simple. Um, but what they're saying is, if you're going to give this shit out, you want to say that, you know, gay rights, whatever, Black Lives Matter. Now you need to teach the opposite of it too. You need to have the counterpoint. You can't just teach one side when you have 2 clear sides to the story. You're a teacher. You're like a journalist, which a journalist is supposed to give the truth, not how they feel it should go. You don't give one side of a news story. You're supposed to give both sides of the news story. Obviously, CNN lost that memo a long time ago. MSNBC, CNBC, all those good, the legacy media, mainstream media, they've lost that a long time ago. If they've ever had a good reporter, good journalist, it'd be funny. Um, they got they have more. I swear to God, they have more reporters at CNN than they do journalists. Reporter just reports what the journalist gives. They're the ones on TV. They're Rachel Maddow, I think, got in trouble for saying that she was a journalist. She's not a fucking journalist. She's a news anchor. She's not a journalist. She's a reporter. Just like Sean Hannity is not a fucking journalist. He's never been a journalist. He is an anchor, a TV personality, not a journalist. Tucker Carlson is more an anchor than he is anything else. He does have researchers, so he does have journalists that work for him. So it's not like the Alex Jones and a lot of these other people that have gone through and looked at document after documents and trying to, well, here's what's going on here when they're saying this, and here's the opposite point to that. They're actually doing real journalistic stuff, but that's going to be the whole point of that, is just to get both sides of it. This policy is not about, okay, well, the point of this policy is to teach them things in a balanced manner. Everything is good and balanced. If some controversial policy is taught, students should be informed this is controversial. And they should have an understanding of both sides to it. This policy is not about censoring. It's not about saying there is anything that should be taught. So we're not saying that you can't teach it, just you have to have an understanding there's two sides to the fucking story, not just your one side. So, and we all know how Democrats love the one-sided stories, and especially the anonymous, but that's my little take on that for the day. I thought my dog just whined at me. I don't know. Am I still going? But looks like I froze. Anyway, we're going back to Cincinnati here. Let's go back to Cincinnati. We had two victims get the ever living shit beat out of them. The one woman, she was out fucking cold, eyes open and everything, just whoo, busted both black eyes. Yeah, she had blood coming out of her mouth. Okay, yeah, that's normal. Anyway, they got sucker punched. They got beat. I think there's up to like 6 people have been arrested in connection to this, and now you get this shit. Six. Yeah, rightfully so. Rightfully so. How? Now, I guess the N word was thrown out there, but nobody has a clue on who actually fucking said it. And even so, that's calling somebody a bad name does not give you the right to beat on somebody. It doesn't. Uh, Calling somebody a name is just that. It's calling somebody a name. I mean, I'm a, I'm Gen X. Name something we can do better than any other generation. That's right here. Sarcasm. So here's the stupidity. Again, more or less, she's keep pulling. We're tired of it. We're all tired of it. We're tired of the race card. I'm sick of it. I As of 1999, year 2000, 2001, I thought racism was dead in the United States. even through, I mean, in 2001, when September 11th happened and everybody united together, we had a common thing then. We just didn't, we disliked terrorists, Islamic terrorists. Okay. But we're still getting along. Everything was going great. So what the fuck changed? What happened? That we went from in the early 2000s, it seemed like there was zero racism. I mean, we had black people on TV. They had their own TV show, like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Who didn't grow up with that? Family Matters, Steve Urkel. Oh, fucking white kids were freaking talking about that shit in schools and stuff. We had Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson. And we had great actors from Sidney Poitier to Morgan Freeman. Denzel was starting to hit the scene. You know, like I said, Will Smith. Look at the Men in Black movies. They were freaking popular as hell. Yeah, we're racist. Sure. No, what happened was Obama. The race grifter in charge, Obama. That's been the problem, and that's gonna be the problem. We need to get over it. I'm sick and tired of all this crap. Grow up, please. Act your age. But then this has been a system. This has been a design system. I'm actually not surprised that this shit's happening. This is the reaction to the Civil Rights Act. Not nothing with civil rights. It's the other parts in there that led us, by the end of the 70s, to be starting into a big, huge welfare state where we criminalized more things. We found more ways to separate the nuclear family. We found ways to get black fathers away from their kids and put in jails. Boys in the Hood. I mean, that was a great movie. That was a great point. They put a liquor store on every corner. You don't see that in white neighborhoods. No. No. We're doing that so they will self-implode. More Democrat. This is Democrat strategy stuff. This all works into your Marxism. Funny how it all comes full circle. And so we've had about two generations of kids growing up without having their father around. If they are around, they might be in jail. They might be bums. They might be still gangbanging. It's hard to say, but we've lost the fatherly figure. And when you have women trying to raise boys, I mean, there's nothing like a mother-son love is wonderful. I love my mother like no other, but there's no way she could have taught me or shown me how to be masculine. Now, I did have a little bit. My dad was there, but I was also asked to go participate in Boy Scouts, and which I did. And um, yeah, you learned respect and everything else, and it kept us out of trouble. But you know, a woman can't teach that. They can to a point, but it's getting that over that last little step of having that fatherly figure in the household that's going to make or break the kids. It's proven. That's 100% what's wrong with the black community. It's not their fault either. It is not their fault. It's Democrats' fault. And all these black people here that are up there selling themselves out for to stay on the Democrat plantation, they're fools. They need to learn. Well, they might not be fools because they're making money. They're making money. They're getting their voices out there. We can we can help rile people up. And this is what leads to your mass chaos and crimes, and that having to have the president of the United States more or less take over the DC command for policing because your crime is out of hand. And our numbers are down because violent crime is actually down. Well, do you know? Okay, so here she's talking about aggravated assault is a felony. There's a bunch of them in DC last year, but those aren't considered violent crimes now. So they're just saying violent crimes are down for like 35%. Well, yeah, when you take out aggravated assault, which is a felony, which means you are going to you have a 99% chance you are going to see some prison time. Because this is a very serious deal. And if you ever seen the photos of that lady that got knocked the fuck out, you would understand. But they're not counting those crimes, so now the crime's down. But again, there's reasons why, like the statistician was fired and all that good stuff. So, and we'll go up to Canada. Oh, fuck Canada. Fuck the Canadians. Fuck the Canadians. I feel sorry for any of you conservative people that live up in Canada. And if you do hear this, I apologize in advance, but fuck Canada. I mean, you've got not only this shit here, but now you've got in Nova Scotia, you can get like a $28,000 freaking fine for walking 3 steps off into a trail at a park. Because we all know that you can start serious fires with rubber-soled shoes. So, but we noticed this a couple of years ago with the whole wildfire smoke that hit us down here. A bunch of places played it, but in this whole area in Canada, there's like 12 fires that all started up at the same time. Miles and miles and miles apart from each other. But they all like started at the same time according to satellite imagery. Because all of a sudden, poof, there's smoke. Well, here's another person. He's from Saskatchewan. He's a volunteer firefighter. And he set 30 fucking fires in 1 month. 30 forest fires in 1 month. It gets 18 months of probation and 200 hours of community service. He's a fucking arsonist. 30 fires? 30 goddamn fucking fires? Are you fucking kidding me? I said 1 fire. I'm getting at least 5 years. That's Canada. Doing God's will, fight climate change. Climate change is causing our forest fires. Climate change is causing our forest fires. Climate change. Climate change. It's the climate change. It's fucking climate change. Fuck you. Fuck you. Oh, I'll rage a little bit on that shit. That just pisses me off. Canada has just as shitty fucking just judicial systems we do down here. Just as bad. Just as fucking bad. Friday. We've got a meeting in Alaska. Trump and Putin finally going to sit down and hash some things out. And the big thing, this fucking clown isn't invited. Which is good. He's a fucking clown. goddamn comedian that thinks he's a fucking leader. You know, he's definitely likes his cocaine, allegedly. Allegedly. Uh, excuse me. Um, but Trump's going to meet in Anchorage with Putin. And which is, so I guess I didn't actually hear him say it. Trump's mentioned as Alaska as Russia twice. Okay. Cognitive decline. He's got a cognitive decline. See, he's worse than Biden. He's worse than Biden. Biden was strong as an ox. No, no. But anyway, Alaska used to be part of Russia. We bought it for pennies on the dollar. It was great. But they are meeting. Um, Many sites discussed, but of course, Alaska is a state within the United States of America, so the president is very honored. Uh, Carolyn Levitt went on that the president is agreeing to meeting at the request of President Putin, which is good. Putin wants some peace. He's losing people too. Don't get him wrong. I mean, but the goal there was not the whole goal for Putin was not Ukraine. It was just part of Ukraine, which is Russian speaking Ukrainians that were somehow, when the borders got put up after the Soviet Union fell, somehow got incorporated into Ukraine. They never really wanted to be part of Ukraine, so they've been kind of butting heads ever since the fall of the Soviet Union. So the goal of this meeting is for Trump, the president, to walk away with a better understanding how we can end this shit. The war. The shit. We need to end this shit immediately. And then, he goes on. I think the president of the United States getting in the room with the president of Russia, sitting face to face rather than speaking over telephone, will give this president the best indication of how to end this war and where it is headed, which is totally honest. I mean, that body language plays a lot into it. These lefties don't understand the body language, how Trump sits upright and forward, not leaning back in his chair. He's always at attention. I mean, that's a sign of I am paying attention to who is talking. I'm not being a slouch. I'm not being a slum. I'm going to represent myself. I'm going to have good posture. That is nothing wrong with having good posture. I'm sitting up. Probably off the fucking screen. But that would be the proper way to sit. I mean, long gone are the days of grammar school. Some of the stuff that they taught you there. But I mean, talking over the phone can give you so many false premonitions of what a person's thinking. Even some of the best poker players in the world still have some things that they can kind of give away. It makes it really hard. But for the most part, unless you've trained yourself that way, and not to say that Putin hasn't. Putin, I'm sure, plays a mean hand of poker. But we can get a better understanding of what's going on. Just a simple, the tone of the voice being face to face is way different than the tone of voice going up and down over the telephone or over the internet or whatever. Face to face, actually watching their lips move right in front of you, that helps a lot. You can get a way better perception of the person. In a lot of ways, yeah, you could sense their aura in a way if you want to go that route. It does make sense. I mean, phone calls are cold. They're just cold and not warm. Being face to face is the right way to do this, and it is good to keep Zelensky out of it. Zelensky has nothing to do with this. Zelensky is one of Obama's puppets. Um, he's a deep state puppet that we got instilled uh, there. Yeah, newsflash. Just like the United States has never had a fair election since its inception, neither has Ukraine. But Ukraine has had a lot of help from the CIA in the past on their elections and coups and overthrows and that. So, oh, where should we go? Where should we go? Uh, this is kind of funny to get back just a little bit, but touch back just a hair on the whole uh, cleaning up DC. And she's going to talk about, I just did talk about those numbers, didn't I? Just did. Yes, I did. But this is fucking ABC of all things. I agree. I love statistics. I love them. That's one thing I loved about baseball is all the stats. Baseball keeps the most stats on anything. But yeah, your crime statistics. But like I said, when you're taking felony charges of aggravated assault and making it so it's not a violent crime, your data, your statistics are going to be way the fuck off. If you're comparing, you're no longer comparing apples to apples. You threw the fucking apple away. Now you have an orange that you're comparing to the apple before. It don't work that way. You can't say that it went down then. But we'll continue on. Two blocks away from where they're at, two people shot, one died. 2 blocks. She's a lefty. She's a lefty. And yeah, I agree. I wholeheartedly agree with the statistics. That's your 100% what you go off of. But like I said, when you're comparing apples to oranges, you, your numbers are all going to be fucked up. Plain and simple. So, but it's good to see that ABC is actually saying, okay, maybe there's something. She did say it, but there might be something wrong with these numbers. And there is. There is. There is. There is. I did not get into Adam Schiff at all. I'm going to try to be wrapping this. Shit around Adam Schiff the shit is getting deep. The shit has hit the fan, if you know what I mean. Um, yeah, here was a guy that got kicked off of Twitter. Had no idea why he was kicked off Twitter, but it was because of Adam Schiff. So, um, but Schiff's got a lot of troubles coming on with the mortgage fraud, saying that his primary residence is in Maryland, or it's California, or it's Maryland, or it's California again. And this has been going on for, damn, almost 2 decades, I think. Uh, more information came out, whistleblowers coming forward. He is the leaker of all the intel, the classified information that was coming out to the media. He is behind it all, which we knew it was, because when all this investigation was going on, Donald Trump Jr. said it was funny. He said he was sitting there testifying in front of them, and this was behind closed doors. No press. Nobody knows what's going on in there. He's going through these questions, and every now and then Adam Schiff got up and left the room. And then he'd come back. And Junior's like, I'd get a freaking, I'd glance down at my phone and here's something I just talked about 20 minutes ago in this very room. And it's being leaked to the media, which is not supposed to be leaked. This is supposed to be a closed door session that the media is not privy to, which I understand. You know, there's some stuff that it doesn't have to be released now. It could be released later. But yeah, he was the leaker, and uh, Fang Fang Boy is involved. Eric Swalwell is involved in this too, which he sh- he should not be in Congress. I mean, thankfully Feinstein died, but I mean, she had a Chinese spy that was in her working for her for like 20 years, and Swalwell got his pretty much got into Congress because of the Chinese spy. So I don't know. So it is what it is. What it is. Yeah, kind of a little bit. It goes back to here where support and voting and stuff like that. You know, the Republicans have been fighting for your human rights since the beginning. You know, we can go back further. We can go back to the birth of our nation on July 2nd, actually, when they actually voted it in, signed July 4th, 1776. The original copy, the original version of the Declaration of Independence, even um, Thomas Jefferson was against slavery. So, but we'll save that for a little bit of a different time, different story, and go on from there. Hopefully we see some changes here real shortly. We are seeing some good changes. I'm happy to see them. But there's still a lot of work to be done. A lot of work to be done. Get interest rates to drop a little bit would help tremendously for everybody. And too late Powell is, he's again too late. So, but I think we're gonna wrap that up today. We will come back in a couple of days. We'll do Thursday, 7:40 or 6:45 Central Time. Um, Again, I'm Steve. You're chatting with me. Ask away. Alrighty, guys. We will call it there and just be done. And see you later.